can have your army khakis, you can have your navy blues. I have another fighting man to introduce to you. His uniform is different, the finest ever seen. The Germans call him Devil Dog. His name is U.S. Marine. He was born on Paris Island, the land that God forgot, where the sand is 18 inches deep and the sun is blazing hot. He gets up in the morning, way before the sun. He'll run a couple miles or more before the day is done. So listen to me, ladies, to what I have to say. Find yourself a tough Marine for each and every day. He'll hug you and he'll kiss you. He'll never be untrue. There's nothing in this world a Marine cannot do. When I die and go to heaven, St. Peter I will tell, another Marine reporting, sir. I've spent my time in hell. And as I look around me, what will I see? Thousands of more Marines standing next to me. Welcome to Divided We Stand. I am Gunnery Sergeant Jimmy J, retired of the United States Marine Corps. And that man over there is another kind of brother of mine, Joe Aguirre.
I was a Boy Scout.
There we go.
That's where I served.
First and foremost, happy 247th birthday to the United States Marine Corps. Real quick, Joe, I can honestly tell you with absolute bias, almost to the point of prejudice, that the Marines are probably the greatest fighting force on the face of the earth. And I've been to war, and I've seen other countries fight. And if the media wasn't around, Joe, if the media wasn't allowed in war zones, the Marines are just such a destructive power, and I've seen it in action, and it is just amazing to watch the Marines work. Truly is. We do this thing called combined arms, where we have planes, fixed wing planes, helicopters, tanks, mortars, artillery, ground troops, all converging on a single target at the same exact time, with timing down to the pretty much, it is to the second. Because if you got a helicopter coming in to throw rockets or whatever, and you got artillery coming in, there could be a potential casualty. Mortars, artilleries, whatever. When you cut artillery at this mark, the last bomb hits, the artillery rocket. We got this perfected. And it's just so devastating and overwhelming that I don't think we'll ever be allowed to use it, to be honest with you. Right. And it's just, it's crazy. It's awesome. All right. But enough about that. Nobody cares about that right now. Wow. What a disappointment, huh? Tuesday night was for a lot of us. Some of us, I should say. It was extremely.
I was pleasantly surprised, to be honest.
I was half and half. I really was. Right. There was a lot of Republicans that didn't get voted in nationally. That I'm not sad that they didn't get voted in. I'll put it that way. Right. I would have rather gone to do it independent or something like that. But I'm not sad that a couple Republicans did not get voted in. What do you think happened, Joe? I have my theories. Real quick, what do you think happened? Real quick. Because I know we're going to talk about it in a little while again.
Yeah, look, I think that people went in, and we know the economy was their top of mind issue. And I think what it came down to for people was, if you vote for the Democrats, right, you're saying to them, listen, I think you guys have an idea of what's going on, and that you're the party that I think is the one that's going to get this done. I think the scare tactic of gutting Medicare and Social Security, I think the idea of, and listen, the election deniers, we'll get into that a little bit later on. Those people did not do well at all.
I read your bit and I didn't want to go into it too much, right? Because I'll leave you the T word for your 2 minutes, right? You know what T word I'm talking about. I
Mhm.
actually want to take it in a little different direction here. The polls were absolutely wrong when it came to what the top issue was, and I'm going to explain. The way we do polls nowadays is by telephone,
Yep.
normally hard lines, normally landlines. Not one college age student, college age person has a friggin' landline. Not one college age student was polled. Not one. And not one college age liberal did not stay home on voting day. They were out in record numbers.
I told you back in June that nobody mobilizes when they're pissed better than white liberal women. I mean,
Oh, I said that too
they
in one
just
episode.
it seemed like it was kind of wearing off a little bit. I'm telling you right now, from the exit polls that I was looking at, Jimmy, again, I think ultimately people were like, do I think the Republicans are any more fit right now to fix inflation than the Democrats? It doesn't seem like either one has a solid plan. We know the Democrats tried some things. It hasn't really done a whole ton, but they're trying. What have the Republicans even offered? Nothing.
Republicans
And
can't try anything right now.
so now, after you've decided with issue number one that's probably not Joe Biden's fault, it's not his policies that have caused inflation. It was the handing out of way too much money to a lot of people without advising them that they should save some of it and not spend it all. Because that's what drove up the inflation. Okay.
That was a big part of it, yes.
And so now, secondarily, if I feel like, listen, I think the Democrats, it doesn't matter really who's trying to fix the economy. I understand basic economics. This thing's going to slowly come down. It's going to be terrible. Now I go to issue two. Your issue two is immigration.
It was
Who
not
cares?
immigration.
No, I don't mean you. I don't mean you.
Oh.
I mean, for a lot of Republicans, immigration was their second thing, or crime is another good one.
Crime, I think, was the second one, which is
But-
why Lee Zeldin almost pulled it out in New York.
For liberals, abortion was very high on the list. And then so after you've decided, I think the Democrats can work their way out of this mess they've created or that they've added to. Let's look at the secondary issues. And if that was high on your list, and I think it was for a lot of people, then it makes voting for the Democrats a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, the pollsters, not being able, they're not disallowed, they're not allowed. They just don't, right? They missed the biggest, one of the biggest demographic voters, out there today.
Yeah, but in the state of Connecticut, dude, they nailed it. I mean, it was 13 points. Everybody had Hayes Logan locked up. They had him up by one. She barely squeezed it out. They were all fairly accurate polling. And it's funny because the Republicans were the ones that were like, this is nonsense. And then they got stomped on here in Connecticut.
Well, there were a couple, that ended up, the races ended up a lot closer than the polls indicated.
You know what surprised me? Jamie Stevenson got crushed by Jim Himes by, I think, like 17 points. I really like Jamie Stevenson. I think she's a really solid Republican candidate. She's pro-choice. She's a cross the party aisle kind of person. And I was stunned at how bad she got beaten.
So here in the state of Connecticut specifically, we had an immigration problem, right? Not the immigration south of the border, right? A southern border immigration problem here in the great state of Connecticut. When during the height of COVID and the lockdowns in New York, 50,000 New Yorkers moved into the state of Connecticut during those years. 50,000, right? At the same time, you had 25,000 Republicans move to the southern states, right? So we imported 50,000 liberals and exported 25,000 Republicans. There's no way the Republican can win in the state now. There's zero.
Well, listen, I'll
Zero.
tell you right now, there barely was going into this. You know, they're just statistically more people identify left than right in Connecticut, and it's really not that close.
Not even close.
And that's the reason why you have so many people who are independent, because and most of them will lean right when it all comes down to it, but the women especially all vote Democrat. You saw the difference in the Stefanowski-Lamont race and the Levy-Blumenthal race with women. It was an absolute blowout. It wasn't even close.
Which is insane because Bob is friggin' not a pro-life guy.
Right.
But anyways,
exactly.
Anyway, but the messaging from the Democrat Party got him, right? Whether it be true or not. Right. And you talk about this all the time, Joe. And I'm glad that we're bringing this up because you talk about it all the time. Right. You rag on Republicans for misinformation, for scare tactics, for X, Y, and Z. Yet that's how the Democrat Party won, on scare tactics and misinformation.
Well, when they go low, we go high went out the window like,
oh my God,
6 years ago.
That went out the window with I can't think back that far. But anyways, see, now you just made me lose my train of thought, Joe.
That was the plan. You had me on the ropes there for a minute.
I think I did too.
You might have.
I did. What were we talking about?
What were we talking about?
You know what? Listen, I can't remember.
I'll tell you right now. Listen, it's as simple as this. Okay.
Oh yeah.
The Republican Party, unfortunately, has associated itself with things that people know are objectively false. The continued suggestions that the 2020 election, for some reason, is unsettled is asinine, and it comes across as snowflake as one could be.
I agree wholeheartedly, 100%. Right. The whole number one. Let's just say, for hypothetical sakes, that we find 2 million ballots for Trump right now.
Yeah.
What are we going to change?
Nothing,
are we going to run another presidential election?
Well, right. So
no.
here's the thing. There was actually a couple weeks ago, I saw it on one of those fact check sites. There was a meme going around that was saying that a court had ruled and that the 2020 election result was invalid. That was literally a thing going around.
Okay.
Here's the thing. If you did find, well, you need to find 12,000 ballots in Georgia for sure. If that were to happen, it's too late. The vote was already certified. Legally, there is no measure that can be taken to read it was certified, accepted in Congress, and we've moved on. And people sound stupid when they're still talking about that. When people bring up Hillary Clinton, it's like, dude, she is so far removed from all this. It's not even funny. Like, she's not a factor in any of this anymore at all. I know she talks here and there on The View or whatever, but she doesn't make any major policy speeches. She doesn't get invited to she's not front and center, and anybody who tells you she isn't really paying attention.
I think, speaking of Clinton, I think that it was funny how Holcomb there called in Bill Clinton to stump for her. Clinton.
You know what's funny, dude? They were calling the big guns in, right? Everybody wanted Obama. They wanted Bill. They didn't want Joe Biden around.
That's crazy, dude.
And Joe Biden was asked about that by some right-wing reporter. And Joe Biden, look, he's been in the game a long time. He understands he's not a popular president. He did his best in the final weeks to remind people about the threat to democracy, which, Jimmy,
again,
the Democrats won, and it's not all on fire right now. It's amazing. So I tell people, like the November 8th and November 9th, no difference. Calm down. You're taking this way too
This is what I'm
seriously.
telling. This is
right. The country isn't going to
I remember what I'm
fundamentally
talking about now.
change.
I remember.
Misinformation.
That's right, Joe. You harp so hard on Republicans and specifically Tucker Carlson, I think.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
misinformation. Yet
Tucker Carlson, spreader of lies.
The entire Democratic campaign was misinformation.
How do you figure?
Yeah, you never once condemned them. You never once said anything.
Who went on and we did this on this show, and then I went to the radio and did the same thing. Did the same exact bit, dude. We busted out Medicare and Social Security. I actually got into an argument with a liberal listener of mine who was like, Joe, you're wrong about this. I said, look, we looked it up. We did the research. There's no actual, they threaten it all the time. And it's usually the Democrats bringing up the idea that the Republicans are going to do it. If they didn't call them out, maybe they would do it. I don't know. I can't, but they haven't done it. And so I did call it out. But now here's the thing. Look, inflation just dipped again. Consumer confidence and spending was up last month. Things are actually looking like they're getting a tick better. So I don't know if people even experienced any relief at all, but we just found out last month was actually a better month than the one before. We're moving in the right direction. I don't think people even thought about that, Jim. I think they thought about a party that is still run by Donald Trump, still promotes idiotic thoughts, right? Is pushing for the end of abortion for some stupid reason. Why they're making that the issue of the day is beyond me.
Come on, man. This is what I'm talking about, man.
No. Listen, hold up. You're allowing First of all, they allowed the Democrats to dictate this entire election cycle. Okay, that's on them.
Mm-hmm.
That's 100% on the Republicans. Terrible strategy here. They had every reason to win. And like I said last Thursday night in my bit, you have facts on your side for once. And yet, immigration and invasion at the border. Stop talking stupid. Say that there's an immigration crisis. Speak in factual terms. There's way too many people coming into this country over the border. They're coming in legally. We're finding out the Democratic policy, it's a failure because we can't handle this many people. Everything I just said is true. I don't have to make up open borders. Again, as I point out, the Canadian border is pretty porous. That one you can actually cross at your leisure. That's the open border we should be looking at. So again, let's get sensible. Let's talk about things that make sense and that are true.
2.4 million people didn't enter this country.
If crime is on the dippity dupes down, crime is on the way down. So say crime is down, but say, listen, the mental health issue that these guys caused by locking us in our homes has led to an outbreak in violent crime, domestic violence, armed robbery, violent
You know what?
crime.
That's a good one. Say overall crime has come down. However, violent crime has increased.
The worst kind of crime.
Yeah.
And it's happening on their watch. You could have said they put criminal rights ahead of the police. No, they didn't. Stop being stupid. The police accountability bill is a good thing. They have to wear cameras now. It's for their safety too. So again, let's be factual about things, right? The Democrats aren't pro-criminal. That's an idiotic thought. And when people say that, common sense people are like, wait a minute. That doesn't make... Dude, I literally had people that were like, I watched some of these ads. I'm not super political, but most of the stuff I heard, it sounded nonsensical. And they're talking about Republican ads. People don't like attack ads. People like positive ads.
Like saying that we're going to take your abortion rights away, even though it's not true. Like saying we're going to end Medicare and Social Security, even though it's not true.
But there's your states' rights, Jim. Ads. I told you, you guys
these
backed
into this
thing.
Attack ads.
You backed 13 states had trigger laws. If Roe v. Wade got overturned, instantly banning abortion. And you know what? Hasn't been banned in any one of them because everyone's afraid to implement the law because of the lawsuits. This is how stupid the Republicans are, Jim. They made a big deal about it, and they abortions are happening all around the country still. So it was a stupid play on an issue that even Christians, other than evangelical men, no other denomination of religion is against Roe v. Wade. Again, like Kansas did 2 months ago, Kentucky, an opportunity to pass a constitutional amendment to ban abortion, they rejected it. People look at abortion not as murder, as a woman's right to do what she wants, bodily autonomy. If you're a libertarian and you don't support abortion rights, you've got it wrong. If you think a fertilized egg that has like a 70% chance of developing, by the way, this idea like, oh, every fertilized egg is a baby. No, it isn't. Most of them don't actually end up in full-term pregnancy. So again, if we're looking at the facts and we're speaking factually and intelligently and listening to the people, you would be doing a lot better. You're allowing the Democrats to control the narrative. And again, they can factually point to 13 states instantly without referendums or asking, we're going to ban women's right to choose, just like that. After 50 years of that protection, just gone. That's where they blew it. You know that's where they blew it. We didn't think that they could. We didn't think they could drag abortion all the way through, and they did it.
They got one person to thank and one person only for Tuesday night, and that's Clarence Thomas. That's it. And they hated that man when that leak came out. Remember that? But he saved the Democrats Tuesday election night. That's it. Without that topic, who knows what it'd have been, but it definitely would have been better.
Again, your boy Clarence Thomas, it wasn't enough for him to overturn Roe v. Wade, right? He was the only one. He dissented from the majority. It's such a whack job he is, where he brought up things like Obergefell and Griswold, not loving, though, interracial marriage. That's fine by him. But all the other icky stuff that people might not like, he suggested we should take a look at all of those things. Justice Roberts was clear that we're talking about this case and this case only. Scalia and the other conservatives said, you know what? It's abortion, bam, as a whole. Let's throw it back to I got that. All that's fine. It was a terrible idea. You could also blame Donald Trump for all this, because Donald Trump is the one that built that 6-3 majority. So again, a guy who we know for a fact is also, like Herschel Walker, pay for an abortion or two. You look like a giant hypocrite when you're out there playing family man, family values.
Right,
no one's buying it, and people don't like hypocrites. Yeah, let's go to Georgia. I love this.
Wow. Number one, how it's coming to a runoff is beyond me. And I'm saying this as a Republican who's definitely a centrist, but leans a lot right. There should never have been this should have been a 70-30 race at the very minimum for Warnock.
I'll say the same thing about the Fetterman race.
Yeah.
This is the same thing to me. This is where you have one candidate who's just not mentally able to. I mean, that's literally, you look at your whole state and you're like, oh my God, I know this guy's barely audible and really unintelligible. Let's send him. How bad can that be? For 6 years.
These two races alone tell me that what we actually just talked about with Trump and abortion and crime, they don't really matter. Didn't matter to anybody. Everybody came out this year and voted party lines. Period.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason.
People feel like they're protecting something.
Right. And that's the only reason why Oz was even close. That's the only reason, or Fetterman, was even close. And it's the only reason why Herschel Walker's even close right now.
Although,
there
by the
shouldn't
way,
be.
if you look at that election in Georgia, I mean, Brian Kemp put a pretty good beatdown on
Wow,
Stacey
yeah, she's done.
Abrams.
What do you? I mean, she's got to be done, right?
A lot
Politically
of
wise.
people, yeah. Yeah, same with Beto. How many times can you lose big races before we're like, you suck? You're just not good enough.
Chris Christie.
There you go, right? Yeah. So, it's about quality candidates.
Yeah, you know what?
You got to have quality candidates. I mean, these
Here are
are
my
people doing
notes.
actual business.
Better candidates. See it?
Yeah. It's a travesty, dude. I mean, again, there's 100 of them. With 100, supposed to be like the 100 best and brightest amongst us. Really?
Come on, man. Look who's at the top, though. So you gotta, it all goes downhill from there, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awful candidates this year. Awful on the part of the Republican Party nationally. I thought they were just awful. Like I'm still surprised that JD Vance won. I'm shocked, to be honest.
Yeah. Again, that's just deep down tribalism. This idea that
straight party lines this year. There was no it didn't matter what any issues were. They were just going to go vote party lines, and it's you know what, that's awful.
If you look at Florida, Rubio and DeSantis, I mean, both put up big numbers in their wins. I just think it's interesting. There was definitely ticket splitting here in the race in Georgia, where they were definitely voting for Kemp and also not throwing one down for Hirsch.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, right? But Florida now is the exception to what I just said about party lines. Because
the party lines are the problem. There is that there's a huge increase in minority voters in Florida who are
Miami-Dade County.
Oh yeah, right? Dude, they're all over it. Yeah, he won Miami-Dade County. He lost that 4 years ago.
Who they haven't won. A Republican hasn't won Miami-Dade County since Jeb Bush.
I think he lost that by 20, if I heard correctly today. That 4 years ago, he lost Miami-Dade by 20 points. That's crazy. That's a huge turnaround.
And he just, I mean, the Hispanic vote in Florida, I think the parties are switching. The people, the constituents, they are switching. They're leaning more towards, like I've said on this show, what the Republicans should do is embrace the Hispanic community because they're conservatives by nature. They're family, God-loving, or family-oriented, hardworking,
and faster growing than white supremacists. So load up on those people for sure. Diversify.
You keep throwing that word around, man. There's a million.
I'm sorry. I said supremacist. That was my bad. I apologize.
There's a million of them.
No, I'm sorry. I meant nationalist. I shouldn't have said supremacist. That was, I mixed up the words. Heartfelt apology here.
Yeah. Okay. Keep conflating. But
anyway.
But yeah. I have those, my points down, seeing how I just showed you guys. Here are my takeaways from the election. Don't mention Trump. We got to get better candidates, period. We got to, the Republican Party as a whole. And this is what you and I were talking about it earlier about Kevin McCarthy, right? If he doesn't become Speaker of the House, I might not be that sad. I don't think I'm going to lose any sleep over that. Right, because I believe that Kevin McCarthy is one of the old-time good old boy Republicans, and we don't need that shit anymore.
Right? Again, a guy who initially blamed Trump for January 6th, and then upon further reflection and looking at evidence was like, no, maybe not. Like, dude, you're out of here, idiot.
My other takeaways, don't go against women, period. Even if you believe it, wait till November 9th. Wait till November 9th to bring that crap up, man.
For 2 years, the Republicans, Fox News in particular, pushed the idea of a war on Christmas. Right? A day where December 25th, what's open?
Chinese food restaurants.
And gas stations. That's it. Right? War on Christmas. We don't observe everybody shuts down for the day. What? Could be a Monday and we're like, no, it's Christmas. It doesn't
Hold
matter
on.
what religion you are, but they tried to convince you when the
They're
idea of like
taking
happy. Hold on, I'm making a point here, and this is a good one because you freaked out about nonsense. Can't say Christmas. Yeah, you can. Just don't be a dick about it, was the idea. You went to bat for Christmas, something observed around the globe on December 25th, and you won't protect the women. And when you do, it's from transgendered people. Not enough. You know what I'm saying? When the women say hands off their uterus, just do it. Just be like, you know what? That one thing, you guys figure it out then. That's a lady thing. Let the ladies take care of it. It's not between you and God. It's between her and her doctor.
And well, yes, it's between her and her doctor. But if you're a religious
When you
person,
look
it's
at the
between
when
her
you
and
look
her
at the
God as well,
numbers, you look
right?
at the numbers and you see the way women are voting in this country. By and large, it is they're scared of the Republican Party. They're 53% of the population,
That's
right?
right.
Let's
That's
say
right.
let's say like 75% of them are moderate to liberal women. Okay? That's a huge percentage of the population,
I
and
would
they
say
take their reproductive rights really goddamn serious, as we saw Tuesday.
they.
Okay? Let them
We said
have
this
it.
on this show, Joe. We have said this that women win elections. Period.
Yes.
Women determine the outcome of elections. And you know
And we
what?
doubted them this year, and you know how they hate that.
Well, here's the thing, man. And it took me a long time to learn this when I was in the military, right? I was just a young, stupid jarhead. Uh, it took me a long time to learn to fight the battles, to pick the battles that you want to fight. Right. And you're right. You know, as much as I am not, I'm against abortion personally, right? Not for anybody else. I'm not talking about pushing my beliefs on anybody else. I am personally against abortion. This is one of those fights you're not going to win, no matter how hard you try. So why fight it? Right? Why fight it? And the
They're
red wave.
legalizing marijuana in conservative states now, and it's like you let them have the weed. You're still going to tell the ladies no. You're just pissing them off every time you give somebody else like, oh, all right, fine, you can do it. Can we? Nope, you can't do your thing though. That's still us. Like, I understand the conservative idea of trying to protect your women and keep them pure or whatever for God or Jesus or whatever have you. I get it. I believed that stuff when I was a kid. I believed it when I was a kid, but I think people by and large are rejecting that notion. So mind your business.
I don't think that's the notion at all, though.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's what this very much is about, dude. This it's listen, Jimmy, and the other thing women aren't buying is it's not about the babies. Because if it was, formula would be free. Having a baby would be free. Maybe like they do in socialist countries, they would pay you to have babies. You know what I mean? They would have, affordable childcare and Head Start programs and free daycare so mom could go back to work and be productive. That would be pro-life. That would be pro-life. Jim, I'm just I'm not listen. I'm telling you. I'm telling you
straight communism.
I'm telling you what most women tell me. Their argument about Republicans pretending to care about babies is once the baby's born, Republicans vote against Head Start and the breakfast program and all that. They cut education.
All these social programs.
Sure. Social programs that our tax dollars support. So, yes, we want those. We want those. We want Head Start programs. We want to encourage children to be educated.
Social programs, Joe, if you know what, we're going to have to save this for another episode. But these social programs,
I'm talking about things like education
why we're at
too,
right
though.
now. You understand?
Yes, sure.
Like,
that's a good thing, though.
We're the most entitled, most freaking spoiled, most.
We deserve it.
I don't even know. I don't. Well, I don't even know what other word I can possibly think of to describe this country right now. Right? That it angers me how just our diamond shoes are way too tight in this country, right? And we'll get into this another episode. We will,
All I'm
right? Because
saying is
this could take us a long time.
this is what women say to me. This is how women view this issue. And I don't think you guys are able to wrap your minds around the full concept beyond like killing a baby. No, we're not. That's ultimately how they feel. And again, if it was, and here's where you go wrong again. Not you. I just mean Republicans in general. They're not using it for abortion. Women don't take having abortions lightly. And
you
to
mean
make
for birth control, yeah,
right. To make it sound like they are is offensive. And the idea that they're using it for birth control, kind of like a slutty whore thing to do. When you call women that, they're not going to ever vote for you.
Explain to me in Connecticut.
Yes.
Because you've had him on his show. I've had him on my show. And he's not pro-life. Bob Stefanowski got destroyed.
Yes.
Like double this time what he did last time.
Which is nuts. Yep.
Crazy.
At which the polls were calling for weeks now. We were like, no way.
Crazy. Like it should never have happened.
I thought he brought it on pretty good at the end too.
I thought he had I'm not going to say a great chance because we still do live in the state of Connecticut, but I thought he had a chance. I really did. Because I can't even think about all the crap Lamont's company during COVID went from a $9 million company to a $54 million company. I wonder how.
He did very well.
His family, his wife getting all these no bid contracts, which is illegal according to the United States government. I used to be a contract specialist for the United States government. You always bid it out. I had to bid out hotel rooms for a friggin' Marine. I had to bid it out because I had to do a contract. So, you're doing a contract? Yeah. Okay. Bid it out. But he gets away with it. Right. I did not raise taxes. What are you kidding me? Everybody's taxes got raised. Everybody's. This man did nothing. Right. And the jury. Now, I understand that he kept everybody well informed during COVID. He did, right? He came on the news. He stayed calm. He presented the information.
Yeah.
But and that's all I'm going to say about that. I don't think he did that great of a job. I don't.
I brought this up a few weeks ago in
he did a good job
talking about Bob Stefanowski. Bob, if you noticed, his signs were blue and yellow.
Mm-hmm.
There was not an ounce of red on his signs.
I noticed that. I did.
He steered clear of Donald Trump, who endorsed him in 2018. This time he neither sought it nor got it. Tried to make it very clear that he was pro-choice, wouldn't change the law in Connecticut, which obviously is codified here in the state. And yet, his biggest failure, I thought, was that he didn't have a better plan for the economy. He didn't really present anything that seemed like it was a brilliant idea and would be any different than what Lamont was doing. And I'm telling you, Jim, I don't think people are stupid. I think people understand that the governor and the president don't cause inflation. It's just
I
not
think
how
people
it
are very
works.
stupid, Joe. I do.
Oh, well, I don't mean to say people aren't stupid. Trust me, they're definitely stupid. But I mean, I think people understand that this isn't something you could blame one person on. And again, at the end of the day, because I'm telling you, I don't think abortion still ended up being I think it was still a real backup issue for a lot of people. And I think as they sat there and they looked at two candidates, they thought, this person's going to ban abortion.
Yeah, again, I think abortion was the number one issue, to be honest.
This is because, but again, dude, inflation is not something one person is going to solve or one party is going to solve. It takes time to bring inflation down. The Fed's doing everything it can, right? With the constant raising of the interest rates. They're manipulating the market. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here to fix it. And so you have to ask yourself, Would I rather see the Republicans jump in and take over this, or do I stick with the Democrats, who generally are supposed to be, good for the poor, and we're all going to be poor soon at their hands, but still, or do I turn it over to these?
So
Do I
this
turn
is
it
why
over
I'm
to these
saying people are being
extremist
stupid.
right-wing lunatics? And that's how people are perceiving the Republican Party.
How do you this is what kills me. It absolutely kills me. Democrats, big government, social programs. Big government and social programs have to get paid by somebody. They have to get paid for. We're all paying that. So it's not, at least social programs, if you're not utilizing them, like myself, all it's doing is taking money away from me. That's it.
Right.
It's not helping me.
No.
Why would I have to pay for that? I'm not utilizing that service.
Well, you should.
But I'm not.
But you can.
And I don't have to. So
you're paying into it.
Not.
The idea is, if you're paying into it, that you should partake in it. It's the whole idea.
Kind of like life insurance, right? But I don't have life insurance. I don't have it right now.
Not life insurance, health insurance. Life insurance is different. But health insurance, right? We all pay into a fund. If you're never sick, right, the insurance company's like, oh, making big dough here on Jimmy J. If I'm always sick, part of your premium is paying my bills.
Which is crap. Which is garbage. So I don't understand, because you just made the comment how Democrats are naturally better for the middle class, or seen that way.
It's the perception, right? I'm not saying they are or they're not.
And this is why I'm saying that majority American voters are stupid. They're stupid, because all the money that they spend on bigger government and all these social programs has to get paid for. And it comes out of the middle class, as well as the upper class, as well as the lower class.
Yeah.
But for the majority of the middle class people that don't use it.
Correct.
So you're not helping the middle class. You're just taking their money.
Well, you are helping the middle class in essence, because
it's not helping me. None of those programs are helping me.
Let me explain.
Don't go some daisy chain off the friggin' wall.
Ready? Here comes the daisy chain.
Okay, here we go. Let's do it.
Again, I want to live in a community where everyone is doing all right. It keeps the value of town up. It keeps the quality of the education system up. It all does benefit me. Knowing that I don't have people living under bridges in my town means that my town stays desirable. Right, my home increases in value. I could pull equity out of my house, so it does benefit me. It does benefit me to have social programs, and if God forbid, Jimmy, I should ever fall on hard times myself, I like to know that, hey, there's programs out there that I could go on if God forbid I were to ever need them. I think most liberal middle class people like the idea of the social safety net. It's like, hey, we're all throwing a couple of beans in there to make sure that everybody's all right.
See, I don't.
I'm okay with that.
I disagree with you, right? But you're a true liberal, right? Because you live in this world where human nature doesn't exist. And I don't understand this by the liberals and the far left, right? Where, look, everybody wants to live in a nice community. Everybody wants to live in a community where everybody's nice to each other, waves, says hi, puts their shopping carts away, right? Has a co-op, a co-op. I grew up at a co-op in my town where everybody.
I'm so confused where you're going with this. Where am I wrong as a liberal for what? What did I do?
You guys deny the fact that human nature, you guys think in this utopian way where everybody's going to be the same and everybody is going to want the same thing.
Why do you keep saying
everybody
that?
is going
Where are you getting this from?
Like
I
don't understand why you think social programs help everybody equally.
Jimmy, it doesn't help people equally. Who said that?
But yet they take money away.
That's not even the point of it. No, the point is that when you have poor, desperate people, you have high crime. You have gangs. That's where that stuff comes out of. People don't have opportunities. They find it in gangland. And so we want to avoid that by making sure that kids eat, so that again, they go to school with nothing in their stomach. They don't learn anything. they drop out of school and become gangbangers, and then they end up shooting you in a parking lot for your sneakers.
I was
We want to
extremely
avoid that.
friggin' poor.
We want to
Extremely
avoid that.
friggin'
And
poor.
so some of us take great prides in the towns that we live in. And we want to make sure, again, not everybody's equal. They're still rich. They're still middle class to upper middle class. But we don't want anyone to be too poor. Okay? Again, we're already all paying.
Why is it my responsibility for other people not to be poor?
We're already paying for. We're paying for a library. We're paying for a school. We're paying for a police station.
And that's enough. I'm done.
We're paying for a fire department. Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind some of these things. I think it makes for a better society and a better group of people.
I disagree wholeheartedly. I think if you keep giving people handouts that come from others, like myself,
Jim,
they're going to not try to better themselves.
Jim, you've lived in the South, yes?
Yes.
What's the value of a home compared to the Northeast?
About 2/3. But yeah, it's about 2/3 of what it is here up here.
The reason why you can get a house similar to the house that you have right now for like $110 in Georgia is because
66% of the cost.
They offer you nothing. They offer you no services. They don't do anything as a government to make your life more enjoyable or better. Whatever happens is probably through your church, right? But there's no services. When there's a pothole, the neighbor's going to have to come out there and lay some cement because nobody's coming from the town to do that stuff. You don't have services. You don't have good education systems. It's why you have the highest abortion and murder rates in the country. That's the reason, because you don't have opportunities in those places because you have very low taxes. As a result, they're undesirable locations, and so the price of everything goes down.
So that what you just said may be true. But here's something I do know to be true. The people in the South that live in these sticks, that have no social services, that have potholes, they don't even have potholes, Joe. They have gravel roads, right? They still have gravel roads. I swear to God, I've been on them.
Sure, I'm sure they do.
In the Midwest, in Missouri, and them places, the same thing, right? But ask me who the hell is happier.
You keep saying that, but the suicide rate is happier there too.
Ask me who happier people are.
I think it's a matter of perception.
These people every day here, every day. Everybody, this is what killed me, and I said this before. Everybody complains about how expensive it is here. Everybody, doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. Everybody complains that it's expensive. Everybody complains that we're taxed too high, and yet they don't want to do anything about it.
You know where the highest tax places are? The most desirable locations. People love Connecticut. It's a great state, no matter how much you guys want to piss on it now because you're upset.
People friggin' suck.
Connecticut is one of the best states in the country for quality of life. The education is off the charts.
Absolutely wrong.
This is a really great state.
Not.
It's expensive to live here.
The most educated state with the dumbest people.
No,
the dumbest people with the most educated state.
No, that's a terrible thing.
Because guess what I heard today? Guess what I heard November 9th?
What'd you hear?
From everybody again. Oh, taxes are too high. Oh, prices are too high. Gas is too high. This is too. Well, did you vote? Yeah, I friggin' voted. Did you vote for change? No, of course not. Well, then you know what? Why would you expect a change?
Well, again, people don't buy the nonsense that you're spewing. That the Republicans
got to do something different.
The Republicans have no plan to do anything different.
Whatever, Joe. Whatever. You think that. Whatever. But you know what? It's not the status quo. It's going to be different. Well, it could have been worse. I'm not saying that it wouldn't have been, right? It could have been worse.
Yeah.
With the Republicans in charge. It could have gotten better. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is their people here are insane. By definition, they're insane. They expect different results, but keep doing the same friggin' thing over and over and over again. And I said that. I said that on this show. I think I even said it on the radio. I said this. November 9th, you're going to hear the entire state complain again about prices, taxes, cost of living, etc., etc. But yet nobody changed it. Nobody wanted to do anything to freaking change it. That is why I say that this is the most educated state with the dumbest people.
Do you think, because I saw Rand Paul got reelected in Kentucky, do you think that 13 of the 15
What did I say?
counties in the United States, do you think any of them voted Democrat this time
What did
around?
I say?
Of course
what did
they
I
didn't.
say? I said the
you're
same
right.
thing about them. Did I not?
Sure,
I said
they're
the
all
same thing
idiots.
about Kentucky. Absolutely.
There you go.
Kansas said the same
There
thing.
you go. I think it's, well, can I do my bit? Because I think it explains a lot.
Oh,
here.
my God, dude. I am so sorry. Stay tuned for Joe's The Flip Side with Joe Aguirre. Everybody.
Want to have your show on CT Politics? If you produce a show on CT political issues or commentary and want to play it to the world, contact us now at ctpolitics.tv. We'd love to have you part of the team.
The huge red wave that many predicted never materialized, and it turns out the polls were pretty much dead on. This time, not that one at all. And it happens. So what exactly did happen here? Well, the Democrats went into the midterm with a very poorly rated president. That's funny. Historically speaking, the party in power gets hammered in the midterms, even in the best of times. Now, despite 40-year high inflation, high gas prices, soaring food prices, a supply chain problem, and the perception of out-of-control crime and illegal immigration. Now, to be honest, some of that is the Democrats' fault. But at the end of the day, as I've said before, it occurred on their watch, and it seemed like America would hold them responsible, right? Let's go, Brandon. But something bizarre happened on the way to this Republican slaughter. Maybe it was all the extremist right-wing candidates, or perhaps abortion rights were a bigger deal than polls led on, as Jimmy has suggested all night. Or it may have been that several of the GOP candidates suggested they wouldn't accept the election results unless they won. None of them did. Trump endorsed candidates had a terrible night. The former president's influence has been waning, and his worstest new enemy, Florida Governor Ron DeSanctimonious, won big, especially with Latino and Black voters. By now, it should be coming clearer that extremism isn't going to win a lot of elections. If you're not going to be a centrist in office, you're going to have a really hard time appealing to everyday Americans. Because most Americans are good, decent people who love their families and friends, but also care about their neighbors and their communities. We're all in this together, and candidates who promote hate were soundly rejected. I think she's up now, though, but I was excited when I wrote this earlier. Boebert down a little bit.
I think she's up too.
I think she's going to end up winning, but
that's one of the ones I was talking about.
Message sent. Now, the threat to democracy was sent a serious message that those who lie in an attempt to divide us will be turned back. Since our politicians wouldn't stop the dangerous, violent rhetoric, the voters, by and large, made this choice very clear. As for the GOP, it's time to take a hard look in the mirror. Perfect conditions for a natural takeover in America, while looking at the mess that the Democrats have dropped on us, looked over to the right and said, nah, we're good. Let's hope leaders in both parties are paying attention. Not bad.
So, Joe, well done, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So there's a reason why I was a little choppy on the first half of this, because I had Trump too in my segment. So this is Trump.
Did you see that?
So I let it go.
Did you see Donald Trump was planning to announce on the 14th his intention to run for the presidency, and they're now asking him to hold off on that.
Yeah.
Instead, the Republicans want him to get behind Herschel Walker and get Herschel elected. Now, my thought is this. If Herschel Walker loses, Donald Trump is done in the Republican Party. This is sort of the
done no matter what. I think after Tuesday,
if he gets Herschel Walker in, if he gets Herschel in, I think it's going to be hard to send him packing. So this is kind of one of those situations where you almost have to root against the Republicans in that same goddamn Republican Senate seat from 2 years ago.
I'm looking at the numbers. Like I keep you see, everybody sees me looking. I got the ticker up. It doesn't matter if Herschel Walker wins. Alaska and Nevada Republicans, that's 51. That's 51 for the Republicans, right? So it doesn't matter. Herschel Walker, it could be irrelevant. Georgia's runoff could be irrelevant.
Yeah, well,
Nevada
Herschel Walker will
and
be
Alaska.
irrelevant no matter what. Yeah.
You say that until he gets friggin' elected. Which again, I'm rolling my eyes. Unbelievable. And again, party line. That's it. Right? But in a runoff, Warnock's going to win, but Alaska's going to go to Republicans because there's two Republicans running against each other somehow. And Nevada is really, really close. Nevada has got 83% of the votes in right now, and he could pull it off.
Boebert race 51. Still undecided. That makes me excited.
Hey, so Trump, that Tuesday night, I thought it was definitely the American people sending a message to Donald Trump. I think if Donald Trump just stayed quiet for the past 2 years, I think the Republicans would have had a better night. I think they would have put up better candidates as well.
Yes.
Instead of these Trump friggin' endorsed people that he wanted them to run. So I think Trump did more damage to the Republican Party. And I can't remember who else I heard say this on the news today. But it was on Fox. I think I was turning on the radio on my way home. And somebody was saying that as well. Like Trump did more harm to the party on Tuesday than he did good. Which is, I mean, you can show that statistically, all his candidates, only two of them won? J.D. Vance and one other one that he endorsed. Everybody else lost. Everybody else. And then actually, they're saying that it could have hurt the down ticket as well.
Yeah. By the way, what is happening in Alaska? Why are there's actually
I don't know.
Different people running as Republicans?
Yeah,
the Democrat is doing terrible, which is hilarious.
They're going to have a runoff against Republicans and Republicans. I'm looking at it right now. I have no idea what's going on.
How is that
Democrat
even possible?
There's three, yeah. What is it?
Like,
Shabaka?
So they do ranked choice voting, but I would think that, I don't know, you can have just anybody run with ranked choice voting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's exactly what ranked choice voting is.
Yeah, but I thought you had to be on different tickets. Yeah, otherwise, what would stop everybody from running?
Nothing. That's why we vote no. Oh, by the way, get real quick on that early voting thing. Yes, we are one of only 4 dumb states that don't do early voting. Now, I voted no for early voting, and it's not because I don't want early voting. It's because I actually read the written bill. And the written bill gives the legislator in power ultimate control over all elections. And that's the way it's written. And
yeah, that's how it is now.
If they put no, it's not. If they put 2 weeks, if they put parameters, do you understand? Like if they put a specific parameter, early voting is going to go for 2 weeks, whatever, or 3 weeks. I don't care. 60 friggin' days, 50 days like Pennsylvania. I don't care. But if they put some kind of parameters in the bill, maybe I would have voted for it because, early voting is a good thing, right? It helps people get out and vote more. And that's what absolutely we want. But now the way the bill is written, they have carte blanche to run their elections any way they want with no friggin' parameters. It's whatever they want, whenever they want. And the bill was written just horribly.
Well, it was intentionally vague because they have to debate and decide amongst themselves what the parameters are going to be, whether it be a week or a month or whatever. So it couldn't be written.
Decide? Who's got to debate and decide?
The state legislature.
You mean the Democrats?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, the Democrats.
If it was a 50-50 legislature here in the state of Connecticut,
Republicans will get to weigh in on it.
When?
In the legislature.
After all the Democrats voted them down, and then they get to talk about it because they're what?
Again, support a good idea. I mean, why reject it out of hand?
I'm not saying
I don't want to do that.
I'm not saying anything.
You're also hiding behind, it's a vague law. These things are always written vaguely, and then they again have to decide what it's going to be. Yes, that's how they do it.
There are specific things written in the laws for specific reasons. This one is left vague, and there are things that in there they could have specific parameters. Why couldn't you say, hey, we're going to vote on early voting for 2 weeks before election? It's up to 2 weeks.
They just wanted our permission to kick around the idea of doing it. That's all they were asking is, do you want us to look into early voting, yes or no?
Yeah,
yes.
And I said no. Tell me what you want to do, and then I'll vote yes. But until you tell me what you're going to do.
But that's not how laws work. They have to make sure that we want to change the Constitution, so they had to ask the question first. Can you guys cool if we change the Constitution with this new bill?
No, I'm not. Tell me what the parameters are, and then I will.
Well, so they'll
we just
they're not just going to change. They're not just going to change it.
Whatever
it'll have to be approved because it's a constitutional amendment.
By whom? The overwhelming monster majority of Democrats in the Connecticut state legislature.
Yeah, so you got to understand that this is a blue state, like your cup. I don't know where you're confused by this.
Here's where I'm confused. Right,
Jimmy, you live in a liberal state.
Here's where
there's a lot of Democrats here. That's why it's liberal.
No. I understand that, Joe. I do.
Right,
but
so
now
their way is going to get passed.
You're giving one side a blank check. And that's not cool. I wouldn't.
60% of the state agrees with it, though.
Hold on. Again, the most educated and dumbest. If it was a Republican in control, like if there was like a super majority of Republicans in the state of Connecticut, I'd still vote no. Because I'm not giving one party that much control. Yes, I know I live. Yes, I know.
I think you're overthinking this one.
No, I'm not at all. But you're never going to have not a super majority here in the state of Connecticut.
Right.
So why would
pretty much whatever ideas the Democrats have, you should learn to embrace some of them.
No, absolutely
especially
not.
The good ones.
Some of them, yeah, absolutely not. But some of them. But this one wasn't a good one.
I think
it wasn't a good bill.
Listen,
I think
early
voting is a good idea. I said
they're going to find one of the states that they like. They're going to say, "Hey, we're going to mirror it after that one, and we'll weigh in whether we want it or not."
I wonder who that's going to be.
Whoever has done it the best. It'll depend. You're
it'll
also going to want to find California.
Yeah.
No, you're going to look at another state that's the size of Connecticut and be like, "So how are you guys doing?"
Why are we running California energy policies here?
Why are we running California's? I don't know. That's the policies he adopted. I don't know. I don't think there's any specific reason. Again, I think you're overthinking some of this stuff.
I'm not. I don't. I think
you're seeing conspiracies. I think you're seeing conspiracy theories.
And you know me. There's only one conspiracy.
Why are we using California? Because that's the environmentally that's the best standard in the world is California.
Got to be freaking. You don't believe that, do you?
It's
you
true.
Really don't believe that.
It's true. That's why they do it. It's the most green friendly. That's why they do it. That's the standard we're trying to incorporate. We're trying to be a greener state. We're going to be a blue-green state, a turquoise.
You can't do that yet. I'm not saying that we shouldn't. I've always said and supported progression in green energy. Have I not?
Yes, sir.
You cannot run the sunniest fucking state in the country like one of the darkest. You just can't do it. It's not going to be the same. That's just like, again, the most educated yet dumbest.
It's environmentally friendly. I suppose they're going to have to make some changes for the lights and the warmth or whatever. Well, California is a big state, and so I know everyone thinks of palm trees and hot models, but that's LA. There are other parts of that state where there's mountains. They got snow today.
Vermont, by the way, is the most environmentally friendly state.
Here's our man Sketchy. Long time no see, fellas. Put your surfboard away. No red wave here. I'm just jumping in. California will no longer sell gas-powered cars after 2035.
Do you believe that's actually going to happen?
Do I think that's yeah. Well, so I was here. I brought this up the other day. What are you going to do with all the oil engine cars that we have today?
We're going to make.
What are we doing with all that stuff? Right? We're just going to crush. Are we going to crush all that stuff? Like, legit question. What are we going to do with the millions and millions and millions of vehicles all over the planet? Are we going to also convert airplanes? And if we do, what are we going to do with the old ones? We have so much junk on this planet. Like, we're ruining the planet.
Well,
ruining the planet. So the planet's got roughly 4.5 billion years till the sun dims up enough that the planet freezes. So we should make the most of our time here. I do think that, a certain amount of care is necessary in order to. Did you see recently too? They found that there were actually water oceans on the moon, on Mars. And now they're saying there's the possibility that there could have been like life for 1 billion years or so somewhere in their history, and it's already gone, and the planet's moved on as a dry planet.
Wasteland.
Yeah. Again, we haven't been around very long, and we sort of forget that, like that humanity only evolved like 90,000 years ago to what we are today. So, is it possible Mars? Yeah, dude, right? I mean, Mars could be like literally 1 million years ahead of us on an evolutionary scale, and it's already all ended, and it's like a barren wasteland.
It could be.
And that's where we're probably headed because we're destroying everything.
900 million years from now.
It's amazing. Yeah, too, I'd like to someday talk about the Amazon and the horrible things that they've done to the rainforest there. That really is such an amazing part of the ecosystem of this planet, and they're burning it down to the ground, and all to raise more cattle.
People got to eat.
Bill Gates might be onto something with that no meat thing.
No.
Just kidding. I know you guys hate that. Plus, he went to Jeffrey Epstein's island or something once.
Did he?
Bill Gates.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. Once he killed himself, I stopped paying attention.
That's
because
funny.
Nobody cared. I mean, I didn't care anymore. I didn't care anymore. Like, I wanted to see he wasn't telling any secrets. I'll tell you that much.
Do you know, by the way, the electric car came before the gas-powered car by 40 years?
I did not know that.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, it's probably easier at that time to.
Everything they were doing was electric. Yeah, everything was powered electrically.
Instead of inventing a combustion engine, that was probably easier just to plug shit in. However, before we get into the whole electric cars there, Sketchy Peasant, I want to do a little more digging on the batteries. I want to get a little more information before we start talking about like the weight, the lifespan, the cost of replacement, uh, how much is going to charge the how much it's going to cost to charge, how long that charge will last, because that's going to make a huge difference, right? In the way
Well,
people think
totally.
about it.
You've probably seen on social media articles about people who had to pay $20,000 or $30,000 for a new
A
battery.
replacement, yeah.
And the reason why that's a thing is because there are already electric car companies that are out of business. Sold vehicles for a few years and they're out of business. And now to get the battery for that car is like near impossible. And that's why people are paying such ridiculous prices. Isn't that crazy? That's the other thing,
crazy.
buying early on during something. Again, the possibility that companies that like the thing you bought, the warranty doesn't mean anything now. Replacement parts are an impossibility. It's a tough spot to be in. It is. Listen, I was saying recently, I think it's going to be like a good 30 to 40 year process to change over to a greener energy, to change over to electric cars. It's going to be a really long process. And there's going to be a lot of money to be
longer than
made for
40 years,
people.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's going to be a
This
lot
will
of
be the
money to be
next-
made
this will be the
and
next
jobs.
tech
And
boom.
that's why, look, if we invest in solar and people get into solar, but again, like I said, you also, who's going to destroy all these cars and put them in the crusher? Someone's going to have to do all that, right? There's going to be business opportunities for people to help us get rid of all the junk as we make our transition over to other things. So that's why we should be a leader in the green energy, because there's a lot of other things that come along with it.
I agree, but we're not ready. We're not infrastructurally set up for that right now. I mean,
I agree.
We
got a lot of work
to
do.
Yeah, it's going to take a minimum of 50 years. Elon Musk says a new Tesla battery is $5,000 to $7,000, and some of the older models can range up to $20,000 to $5,000. So, yeah, that's, you know what, Joe? I still don't want to pay $5,000 for a battery. I don't want to pay the $150 I pay for mine now, let alone freaking $5,000. That's insane. That's insane.
Well,
Again, I want I don't.
Dude,
I want to do more research.
Think about the first big screen TV that you bought. How much did you pay for that?
Oh, it was like $1,900.
Yeah,
like
now they're like $100 at Walmart.
Yeah,
and you're like,
you can buy
you're like kicking
70-inch
yourself.
for $500.
When you jump on technology early, you're always going to pay a lot more. And again, I think so. People are really hesitant. I don't ever plan on owning an electric car in my lifetime. I have no interest in doing that. I hope my kids do. I'm not going to.
I don't even care, dude. If that's
I do.
I mean, I don't. If they make it good,
I just want to do what I've always done.
Electric vehicle that
I don't
can
want to
just
change.
come home. You know what I'm saying?
Traditions.
I don't care.
What if it bursts into flames?
They're going to be freaking cooler. There's going to be cooler amenities. There's going to be cooler features and stuff like that, So, I mean, look, I like the way the new F-150 looked. The one that
I like there to be a lighter in my car.
Oh, my God. Remember those?
Mm-hmm.
How many people remember those?
I just bought a car. I told them I wanted a lighter in it.
Did they put it in?
Yeah.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
They still make them?
You could still ask for a lighter. Yeah.
$5,000 for a friggin' battery. This came 2 months ago. It just came out. So all you want is a friggin' cigarette lighter in your car. All I want is for people to be happy. And that's the bottom line. I do. And you know what, Joe? You and I both do.
Jimmy, here. So again, this is what occurred to me as here in Connecticut specifically, because obviously, look, they're going to take the House and the Senate, and it's not going to be by a big majority, and it's going to be a big stalemate. But let's talk about our state just for a minute, because it's as blue as they get. We're sending all 5 Congress people blue. Both senators are blue. Senator Blue Menthol. The state House insanely blue. The state Senate very blue. Secretary of State, Comptroller, everybody's blue.
Every
Attorney General, I mean, through and through, blue everywhere. It's those few communities where there's a lot of Republicans where you have like a state rep, state senator, but for the most part, it's all blue all the time.
and they all complain. This is what I'm talking about. You have liberals calling into your show.
Of course.
I got liberals calling into the show, and they complain. And then they called in today. Who'd you vote for? Yeah. Don't complain to me. Don't complain to me, Paul. No.
If you look at the polls, the Democrats who live in Connecticut, by and large, do not see the economy as a major problem.
You are perpetuating a stereotype right now, Joe, and I take offense to that. All Connecticut people do not have a lot of money.
No, they definitely don't. But right in all of our minds, right? There's two kinds of people.
Yep.
There's people that are like, I'm broke, and there's people that are inflating what they actually are, right? You're like middle class and you're trying to sell yourself a step up. If you're upper middle class, you're trying to sell yourself as rich. If you're rich, you're trying to sell yourself as uber rich. If you're uber rich, you're trying to sell yourself as like insanely rich. And if you're insanely rich, you don't have a soul and you have a small penis. Now, and that's fine. You'll be fine. It'll all work out. But yeah, people have an overinflated sense of their worth, their net worth. And so oftentimes when people are looking at the economy, you're also looking at it in terms of like, where do I stand compared to most other people? Right?
I'll give you that.
I'll be honest, dude. Like, I'm paying a lot more for gas. Was making a 40-minute ride every day across the state to do this radio gig, and filling my tank up every week. Like, I mostly work from home, dude. I never go anywhere, and all of a sudden I'm pumping all this money. It's not like it was killing me, the money. It wasn't like it was that much, So, like, in the grand scheme of things, I'm like, it's pricey in Connecticut, but I like being here. I have my places that I go. I'm definitely paying more in groceries. I don't like that. Would love to see all of that go down, but it's not like it's killing me. Not killing me.
I've lived in every part of this country. Right? I've lived in the South.
Sketchy, we're actually on a yacht right now.
Do you not see it? Look at it. That's the water. That's the waves.
Yeah. Jimmy's actually the captain of this boat.
I've lived in California. I've lived in North Carolina. I've lived in Virginia. I've lived in New York, and I now live in Connecticut. And I don't understand why, like, nobody outside of Connecticut, maybe with the exception of Massachusetts and New York, likes people from Connecticut. They all think that we're just this stuck-up yuppie friggin'. We have this overinflated self-image of ourselves here in Connecticut, and I used to take the stance of, you're just jealous.
Yeah.
You're like,
I still do.
No, not at all. No, not at all. They're not. Every person that I know from the South would never move up here, ever. A lot of the people that I know here are trying to move down there. Why is that? By the way, that's another reason the elections got screwed up with the great shift. But anyway,
there's a lot of people who don't think they're entitled to anything because they're stupid, because they don't understand how taxes work. You're paying into the system. You're paying your health insurance. These are the same idiots who don't go to the doctor despite the fact they do have health insurance. So these are the stupid people that you're talking about. People who are entitled to something, but have been shamed into the idea of taking a handout. And it's like, you're paying into it. It's not a handout. You're just taking your piece back, moron. It's as simple as that.
That's not the way I feel about it.
That's why the lifespan of those happy people in the South is lower than it is everywhere else in the country.
Man, you bag on those guys so hard.
I do.
Joe.
I feel bad for them.
And if you lived in South Carolina,
I've been down there. I've never lived there. I would never live in the South. Just to visit there for a week depresses me so much. Right? I have to actually believe in a God so I don't kill myself. Just a week or so in Atlanta, and I'm ready to do myself in.
Oh, you're in the Bible Belt. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Where you can't buy liquor on Sunday, by the way. Is that still a rule? Yeah, it's still a rule down there.
Yeah,
Liquor
you also
stores are
can't
not
get
open on
Chick-fil-A.
Sunday. Oh, by the way, if you get to the real deep churchy areas,
Yeah.
bars close on Saturday night at midnight.
By the way, that's awesome.
Do you believe that?
Yes.
I got.
Guess where I went? Guess where I went for lunch today?
Where'd you go?
Chick-fil-A. I did. I
Nice.
snuck a Chick-fil-A in there.
Are you
Sandwich is
still friends
banging.
with your liberals?
Hey, yeah, listen. I felt like I needed to celebrate with the Republicans. It wasn't the big sweep they wanted, but you're back in command, and that's where you want to be.
Well, not really. I mean, it's going to be a stalemate. I have that down on my paper too. Stalemate for the next 2 years. Nothing's going to get done. Now,
Well, they'll investigate Hunter Biden like nobody's business. That should
doesn't
be
matter
fun.
if they don't win the Senate. That doesn't matter. But now, could we see Joe Biden for the next 2 years say, "Okay, I'll work with the Republicans"?
He said he would.
Right? And he has. I'm not saying he never has.
He was friends with those guys when he was in the Senate.
But will his party allow him to do that now?
Yeah, you have to. What other choice?
He
do you
hasn't
have?
yet. You have to.
Choice do you have? You don't have enough votes, so you're going to need to work with the Republicans to make things happen. Otherwise,
Really? Because he's got this. He's got one of these.
That's the threat. That's the threat the president gets to use when he doesn't have the majority in either house.
I'm not saying he shouldn't. I'm saying it doesn't matter.
Well, again,
so have to work.
The incentive for them is he just expressed a willingness to work with them. And obviously, as you're pointing out, if they don't want to work with him, then he's got to do what he's got to do, because things can't not happen is the problem.
I agree with that, but we want good things to happen.
And how better would it get than if Republicans and Democrats work together on ideas?
That would be ideal. That's what we've been touting since the beginning of the show.
Well, again, he just expressed a willingness to work with them. Are they going to be serious and work with him, or are they just going to spend all their time investigating Hunter Biden?
Well, I think they're smart enough to know if they don't get anything done in Congress, that 24 is out the window. I mean, do they put all their eggs in we're going to investigate Hunter Biden right up until Election Day 2024, or are they going to get serious and try to do something? They should get serious and try to do something.
What do you think they're going to do, though, based on their recent history? I'm going to say Hunter Biden. Also Merrick Garland. Also Christopher Wray.
They'll get rid of, number one, Merrick Garland he'll be in the hot seat. I think he'll be in a lot more danger than anybody else.
It's going to be a series of them bringing people in for questioning. It's going to hurt.
They already said that they're not going to go for impeachment of Joe Biden.
Well, you have to break the law to get impeached. Donald Trump did it twice. That's how he got impeached.
You think Joe Biden hasn't broken the law?
Well, he's not currently accused of one, so the idea of impeachment is a little early, don't you think? You'd have to accuse him of something.
This is what I'm not saying that. I don't give it. I hope they don't do this. I hope that I'm trying to say the opposite personally, but what the Republican Party is going to do on a national level, wow, man, we have to wait and see. I hope
they generally go lowest common denominator. Yeah, well, again, that would be
worst
smart.
Comes to worst, that would be good. You know, if they didn't do anything, I could accept it. But as long as they don't make it even worse by doing all these investigations, because you got to remember that costs money, right? And they're all about saving money. Well, you're not saving money if you're spending $48 million of taxpayer dollars on stupid ass investigations, whether they're warranted or not, whether they're justified or not. Who gives a shit? Nothing's going to happen to Joe Biden. Nothing's going to happen to him. He could come out right now today and be like, yeah, they gave me money when I wasn't in office. Yeah. Nothing's going to happen. Will we ever have Republicans and Democrats come together to work for the people, or is that a thing of the past? It depends on who. I firmly believe it really, truly depends on who gets elected in the next 12 years. Because here's the thing. We're still dealing with the older generation, right? The baby boomers and all those friggin' morons that all of them took acid and did coke when they were younger, so now they're in charge, and they
And
hate
are
each other.
suddenly anti-drug. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, right. But I think Generation X, Joe, you and me here, and our age demographic, our age group here, we are the last bastions of the old guard, in my opinion. We're the last ones that call ourselves men, right? That's when men were truly men. We were raised to be men, right? We're the last ones to do that. Everybody else is now, I don't know what, but I think that in 12 years' time, if we can get a lot of good Generation X candidates in there, that I think that we can definitely start working across the aisle. But until we do that, until we get rid of the old guard, until we get rid of these young Lauren Boebert, how do you say her name? Lauren Boeberts that are just young, stupid, and couldn't tell their ass from a hole in the ground. Until we get rid of all these friggin' people and we get some serious candidates in there that want to work, that want to do good for this country and not just for themselves. And I got to tell you, Joe, that's our generation. We're a different generation. And I see this everywhere I go. And I've been around the world freaking 6 different times, guys. Our generation is the last. We're the ones that are going to have to get this back on track. And I think in a dozen years from now, I'll be 57 years old. Right. And that'll be right around the time where I'm running for office and I'm gray haired and looking respectable and not swearing as much, probably not smoking as much weed. And, and maybe. But that's when I think they're sketchy to give you a very long answer. I think that's when the country will turn around. But until we get rid of the two extremes, right? The two extremes, both red and blue and old and young, I don't think we're going to go back to anything like the Clinton, Bush, Reagan days, really, which is a shame because those were fun political times. They were when it was time to outsmart your opponent, not to outslander your opponent. You agree with that, Joe?
I do.
Yeah, you had to outsmart people. You had to be smarter. You had to be better. You had to prove it. Nowadays, it's a popularity contest. Who can I say the worst shit about? And that's just it. And then I win. So I hope that answered your question, Sketchy. And I hope you agree with me, actually. But what do you say, Joe? We went about 28 minutes over our normal side. So do I. But it's a good conversation. We can keep going if you want, brother. But actually, I can. I'll give you 2 more minutes to say whatever you want to say before I got to wrap up the show, Joe.
Yeah, well, so look, I think that it is high time for the Republican Party to get their act together, to kind of start from scratch here. Again, I think, the idea of moving more towards being moderates socially, I think I understand being a conservative, and I think I was proud to be conservative when I was a conservative. I get what you're pushing, you know what I mean? I just think you have to understand that in the name of progress, most people aren't interested in super conservative values. They're just not. Does that mean we can't encourage families and that we can't encourage, the nuclear family? Of course you can, but calm it down a little bit. Let people make their choices in life and support them. And I think that if you do that, I think it'll all work out in the end.
Do you want to know why? Thanks, Sketchy. Do you want to know why I'm going to be a good candidate? And Sketchy will vote for me after I say this. Watch. Because I am a good Republican, right? I am a good conservative. I still value and cherish all those things that you just poo-pooed a little bit, right? But here's the difference. I still allow people to live the way they want. and I don't care and I don't judge, right? So when you talk about the religion and the Republican Party, because I'm guaranteeing that's what you're referring to, I get it. I do. I get it completely. I'm a Catholic. I was raised Catholic. I pray. I believe in God. I believe in heaven and hell. But you know what? I don't talk to you about that, and I don't push that on you, Joe, because I know you're an atheist. So what? Like, Joe, are you happy with that decision? Of course you are. Okay, cool. It doesn't affect me. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You being an atheist is not going to affect me going to heaven or hell, which is more likely the case. But that has no
Well,
effect.
I hope nobody holds you responsible for my atheism.
Do you see what I'm saying? So
or that our association doesn't cost you. I hope you don't get to the pearly gates and they're like, "Hey, you're atheist, buddy, huh? Did a show together? Really? You're not
You
coming
didn't
in.
talk him into believing
Right?
in God?
What if that's it?
Well, hey, we'll find out, right? I'll come back and let you know. Trust
You'll
me.
be so pissed at me.
Oh, I'll find you, brother. I'll find you.
I knew it.
Remember that South Park episode when Hitler's in hell? That's what I'm. If you remember that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyways, hey, Joe, it has been a great show. Great talking to you. Great discussion, man. And I think we both agree, even though you're on the left and I'm on the right here, that the Republican Party needs a friggin' overhaul. And I think they need to choose me to lead them. But that's just me.
I like it.
All right, everybody. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you, everybody else, for listening. For Joe Aguirre, I am Jimmy J saying good night and God bless.